Good evening and welcome to the Shadows of New Orleans. Tonight we are joining a wide variety of the supernatural community of New Orleans, as it is, of course, Fat Tuesday, the kind of largest celebration of Mardi Gras. And in traditional spirit, there will be parades and feasting throughout the French Quarter. This year, the group of mages working with Papa Midnight have laid an enchantment on the quarter that allows any and all to feast and therefore also gain nourishment. It's kind of unknown how they did this, but the Papa Midnight and the Baron have agreed to sort of temporary stand down that everyone can gather and celebrate together. To that end, the festivities are fairly widely held. There's parades, feasts, a lot of open air festivities. Per typical, the Bourbon Street area of the French Quarter is absolutely packed. Parades are throwing out beads. There's absinthe, bourbon, liquor of all sorts, really, being served. And a couple of key locations have opened up specifically for this night. Two supernaturals, and obviously one of those being the Papa Midnight's Tavern, the Crossroads, is open to everyone. The Baron has invited everybody as well to his shop, which is of course a very upscale, almost a martini lounge atmosphere, as well as serving a variety of cigars. And, well, some have kind of taken it as asking for trouble. They have also opened up tonight Madame Delphine's house for tours, which is currently in the care of an anarch, as she resides with the other Camarillans outside Anarch territory. The Cabal of Mysteries, who has kind of spearheaded the mages of New Orleans and who has an alliance with the Baron, have also opened up a number of different establishments, kind of centered around each of their cultures, as they are a diverse group. So if anyone wishes to visit any of them in particular, that's certainly an option. But the kind of the heart of the festivities right now are the crossroads. That's kind of where all the parades are circling and leading to. And of course, it's where Papa Midnight can be found. I'll leave it to you guys to intro yourselves however you wish. Papa Midnight is outside. Kind of welcoming everybody, going around meeting with people, the whole 9 yards.
So Jackson is walking around, in the crowds. He's got a big old grin on his face. He's enjoying. I say he loves a good party atmosphere. There's no way he could miss this. So he's just walking around. He's in a very jovial mood. He's interacting with people. Probably throwing beads around, the usual. And he's just kind of keeping an eye out for people he knows.
Big Mac's out and about, wandering about the streets, taking any opportunity she can get to get her hands on some beads and just enjoying food when and where she can get it, and drinks, all that fun stuff.
All right. If either of you guys get near Papa Midnight, you would tell that he has some sort of pure breed, but neither of you can recognize it.
Gotcha.
Bunty's kind of dancing through with the parades as she intermingles with them. She's given up on having a top on at this point. Her chest is covered in beads and whatnot from the various people throughout the city who've been giving beads to anyone they get. So she's covered, but she's not covered at the same time. And she's just happy and enjoying the life because she knows the counterpoint that will come.
The doctor's probably just kind of like wandering around. Probably like drinking something non-alcoholic because that tends to lead to bad things for him. But he's probably just enjoying the festivities, just wandering around.
Alrighty.
Big Mac is going to try to sneak up behind Jackson when she notices him and wrap some beads, like just grab him from behind with some of her beads around his throat.
Oh dear. Okay. And where's the dice roller?
I should probably roll a dex stealth. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. There's so many people, it's not going to matter. Someone's behind you no matter what.
So this can be a strength athletic. So basically he's going to like try and pick up whoever's behind him and toss him over his shoulder. Because he doesn't know who this is.
I suppose that means you should locate my dice roller. That would help, huh?
And he did not succeed. Actually, he botched.
He botched. He can't pick her. He doesn't even pick her up. That sounds like to me.
Let me get it's signed in here, but if he botched, it would be you roll it in the dice room, or did I miss something?
That's where I rolled it.
maybe it's not showing me because I joined after the fact.
I
Alright.
haven't seen a roll in there either. So
Oh, that's why, because I rolled in Minneapolis by night.
Ah.
That would explain why. I just noticed that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we'll explain it.
That being said, if you botch, you basically as you attempt to strain your back and slip.
Oh no!
And as he hits the ground and looks up at Big Mac, frowning.
How drunk are you?
I haven't had anything to drink yet. Thank you very much.
She offers him a hand to pull him up.
He'll take the hand.
She'll help him up to his feet.
He's shaking his head as he gets up.
I guess it's a good thing I didn't yell surprised.
Probably.
She's smirking and she is kind of laughing at him. She's trying to hide that she's laughing at him. She has like the beads that she put around his neck, and she's like, "You worked hard for those."
And he'll just chuckle and shake his head and keep moving.
Anything exciting?
Not yet.
To do tonight.
So I hear.
Besides the obvious.
He just chuckles. No, not yet. Just kind of keeping an eye out for strange things.
You do know where you're at, right? Like, strange is kind of the the big thing around these parts.
I suppose.
Alright. As you guys are kind of out and about, Papa Midnight would come up to the doctor and just kind of walks up and stands next to him, like looking around. And without really looking directly at him, he says, "Given to understand you have some knowledge in the matters of science and medicine."
Knuckle turn his head to him and say, well, I've got a few years of med school under my belt, yeah.
And from what I've gathered, you don't you're not afraid of trying some different methods when traditional medicine isn't sufficient, shall we say.
You're definitely not wrong on that. I do try my own thing. So far, I found it to be very effective.
So, I guess I would make you some sort of inventor, I suppose.
One could say that, yes.
He draws out a small vial and says, "This is well, I guess for lack of a better word, an elixir." And Well, as such, it's. I'm hoping it will aid my friend, good friend of mine, who's having a dilemma. It seems his age is catching up with him.
And who would this friend be, if you don't mind me asking?
He's local to the city, man by the name of Mr. Germain.
Out of character, was this one of the dudes I met in that scene that we did like last week, I think?
I'm trying to think if you would. Yeah, it's you're talking about the night of the blood moon. Is that the doctor?
No, I wasn't playing the doctor during that scene. I thought you were talking about one of the guys that was in the hospital.
Negative.
Okay. I don't think I'm familiar with him.
He's been here quite some time, and he's got the. Like anyone, as they get older, things start to sneak up on them. So we're trying to do what I can to assist here. He's been a friend for quite some time, so.
Well, if you would like my assistance in this, I don't mind, but on aging or slowing down aging might be a little beyond my capabilities at the moment.
Well, I think I'd rather have your opinion on the elixir itself when you have a moment. I can spare a sample here if you could just review it. I know my traditional herb crafting but I'd hate to have mixed something that has a couple of chemicals that might interfere with one another. Next thing you know, I've created a caustic reaction in his gullet. It seems to me that would be further counterproductive.
Just a little bit, yeah. I don't mind taking a look. I'll probably have to wait till I can get back to my lab to do so I can, make sure I get everything right. But
understandable.
I'll let you know what I find out.
That'd be much appreciated. I believe I may have failed to mention I am Papa. They call me Papa Midnight. Something of a fixture here, I guess. Like Crossroads has been in the family for quite a while.
Met a couple times. He offered me a cigar at one point.
Yes, I recognized you from when you had been here as a patron, but meeting someone as a customer versus meeting them as a consultant or a friend is two very different things in my experience.
Dr. Miles Bjornson. He'll hold his hand out.
And he does shake your hand, and he says, "It is a pleasure to meet you." I do appreciate as well the you taking the time to look into this matter for me.
Of course. I don't, well, I'd say I don't have much to do, but that's not true. But this is something that seems very interesting, so I don't mind taking the time out at all.
No, it is always good to pursue work that one finds interesting.
Definitely helps make it go by a little faster.
Yeah, you'll kind of gesture out to the crowd and say it's a joy to see such a diverse group tonight. Everyone mingling and socializing, not worrying where they come from or who they're with.
Definitely a rare thing to see nowadays. I'm glad that such an event can bring a lot of people together who may not otherwise have the chance to meet.
That's very true. And we spend so much time working, sometimes we don't focus on getting to know those around us either.
I guess we should be the change we wish to see in the world. Maybe try to be a bit more sociable, and others will follow suit.
Well, there might be merit to that as well.
At this point, Miles will hold up the vial and kind of like look at it. What did you put into this? You don't know.
He pulls out a small slip of paper and he says, "Well, here's most of the list, but I don't know if I'd go waving it around too much where other people might see it. They might take you for a bit of a loony."
Fair enough. He'll just take the slip of paper and slide it into his coat pocket.
All right. He gestures out to the crowd and he says, "Speaking of particular individuals that might be out and about," he says, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to meet the fine young lady Bonti. She is she's a very unique and capable individual as well.
I think we've met once or twice in passing, but I haven't gotten a chance to speak with her at length.
Is she? Well, that is a bit unfortunate. She's definitely a unique individual herself, but oh, what better time than now, right?
Suppose you're right.
And so he'll gesture over to uh, Bonti, and then he'll say, "I see a couple of other folks I suppose I should greet as well. Some of those are rarer to see visiting the quarter." if you'll excuse me for a moment. And he'll kind of swing over towards Big Mac and Jackson and walks right up to him. And he says, "Good evening, good sir and lady."
Good evening. Is there something we can do to
Hi.
help you?
No, I simply here to give a little greeting, get to know the different folks who are out and about.
He'll nod.
I'm Papa Midnight and responsible for assisting in organizing these sort of festivities. Well, I know most of the regulars in the quarter, and I don't believe I've seen either of you, so I thought it would be polite to come over and greet you.
Well, it's good to meet you, Papa Midnight. My name's Jackson.
I'm Rand. Nice to meet you.
He gestures and he says, "It's nice to meet you both. I'm the owner of the." He gestures and he says, "The owner of the crossroads over there."
Ah.
So we've got a variety of levels of involvement in the community around here, and so it's certainly a pleasure to meet some new faces to the quarter. I was actually just chatting with a couple other folk who are not quite as regular to the quarter.
Yeah?
And he'll gesture and he'll say, "Yes, the young lady there, Bon T, is a..."
I know her. She waves at Bonte like obnoxiously.
And the gentleman with her is the good doctor. He's a rather different fellow, but he's got a good grasp on diverse medical practices, which sadly, well, the quarter itself is steeped in history. It tends to lack some of the modern sciences a bit. So hopefully, the doctor here will be a sign of innovation to the quarter as well, because history might be great, but we can't always live in yesterday.
That's true.
He'll start heading towards Bonte and the doctor, and he'll say, "If you'd like, I can. I'd be happy to buy you guys a round over at the crossroads." So
I'm down. What do you say, Jackie boy? She gives him a pat on the back.
He smiles and says, "Well, a drink's always welcome."
Might help your back, eh? She gives it another pat.
He just glares at her.
He's a little sensitive right now. Don't mind him. We love him anyways.
He just shakes his head as he walks away.
and Papa Midnight will, as he passes by, motion to Monty and the doctor as well, and he'll say, "You guys would like? I'm providing food and beverage on me back at the crossroads."
That would be wonderful, Papa.
Agreed. That sounds very nice.
And seeing Big Mac Bunty is going to kind of slide her arm around her waist and kind of give her a little hip check.
Big Mac grins and she just kind of grabs one of the beads that Bonte's wearing. I see you've been busy. Nice top.
For some reason, they seem to like it like this. So what am I to say no to?
Beads are half the fun. She lifts up some of her own.
It's all about keeping the spirit of the situation.
Totally.
And she'll give her like a knowing wink.
She smirks and motions her thumb over to Jackson. He's even earned some.
That is quite some work. Most men don't get it for the chest side.
Me earned them. Believe me.
Did you guys get inside? There's a older gentleman as well working the kind of standing behind the bar. And he would Papa Midnight gestures and he says, "I've got a guest bartender in tonight. With the size of festivities, well, sometimes you have to bring in an expert, as it were."
Wasn't he at the meeting we had here that one night?
She's visited before. I don't
Hmm.
know if he was at that particular meeting. It's tough to recall. He's
got a memorable face.
The man behind the bar kind of smiles a little bit and looks down at the bar at that. And he says, "Well, folks, I'm more than happy to help, and I understand tonight's tab is on our good friend Papa Midnight here, so one can't argue at that."
One cannot. I think tonight is a Cadillac night.
Yeah. Chuckles and says, "Well, good Papa Midnight's been kind enough too to help set me up with some of the top shelf stuff that he's got. You know, his home brews, as it were."
She will turn to Papa Midnight and give a bow of thanks and a respectful bow and thanks towards him.
Yeah, he says, "Well, I can claim some credit, but there's some other folks who've been busy in the quarter as well, help make sure this happens. You know, important for us all to remember that we might all be different, but at the end of the day, we all have some things in common, whether we like it or not."
Like a love for beads.
Yes.
He chuckles at that. He says, I suppose that would be certainly one of them. And I will have everybody give me if you're at the table there, which I think is everybody, give me a perception alertness.
Perception awareness. Okay.
And
Uncanny instincts.
I don't think so. Because just notice something.
Okay, I have to make
Yeah.
sure.
I got
All right. We had Big Mac had 2, the Doc had 3, Von T had 2. Did we get roll from?
Just waiting on Jackie Boy.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Perception alertness, please.
Make sure I go to the right dice roller this time.
I mean, sure, why not? Okay, the other venue's only been closed for like 5 months.
hey man, it happens.
Oh, I know. I've done it. I still have to catch myself on the intros.
2 successes.
Perfect. So, as everybody had successes, you all notice one finger seems to change to a claw, and he begins to scratches something onto the table. And he looks over at Bonte and the doctor, and he says, "It's good to know that that we're all friends here."
Hi, Papa Midnight.
And the other two of you would notice that there are on the table he put guru glyphs for peace and friendship.
Yeah, Big Mac is still trying to figure out what that scent is, like the pure breed scent is that she can't figure out. Like she's actively trying to figure it out.
Jackson's just kind of raises his eyebrows at the glyph, but he's not commenting on it.
The doc will look at what he scratched on. That's a cool design. Does it mean anything?
Yeah, well, like any other matter of faith, symbols are different to each person.
I have found all symbols mean something to someone.
That's pretty fair statement as well.
More so wondering what it meant.
Well, to some runes like this indicate secret languages, and simply seeing that style tells some individuals that you know things others might not. So
Fair enough.
the fact that you know it can be
It
taken as
does.
a sign of faith.
Can Bonteam memorize those symbols?
I would allow a um, intelligence check to try and get them into your memory.
Just straight intelligence, or like intelligence enigmas, or
Enigmas
Occult?
would be fine, or occult, either one.
I would gladly take occult if given the choice. So
That's fine.
three successes.
This is even furthering Big Mac's curiosity because yeah, she has that flaw. So she's trying to figure it out even harder based on smell without being blatant in public.
And then he says, "Well, it's important we not forget that we're all friends here in one way or another." Because, well, frankly, this city needs as many friends as it can get. I don't know how many of you. It's been going on. Whether people notice it or not is another matter. And therein lies the true problem, is people overlooking things and missing things.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, I've been in the city that long, fairly new here, so
That's why I'm
everything
discussing
is
it with you
new.
now, because you are new here. It's important that we address it individually. There's enough new people who can help perhaps address the problem, so the status quo doesn't continue. And frankly, what it boils down to is this is a city that once was a city of spirits and magic and belief. And frankly, here we are on a night of a Mardi Gras, and half the city hustles and bustles about work, same as they always have. The spirit of this city is being forgotten. Not through any malicious intent, not through any design, simply because a status quo has been created. That's why we have tonight a gathering like this. That's why I encouraged a group of mages, sorcerers, shamans, believers to gather and discuss to open the city to each other. And he gestures to the bar. He says, it's also why that fine gentleman there is at my bar. Because out of all the children of Cain in this city, he is nominally the most powerful one. He's here because he wants to demonstrate that we all intend to work together. It's easy to put words out there. It's a whole nother for the leader of a faction to leave his sanctuary, enter a foreigner's, and serve drinks to a group.
You said the children of Cain. I am not up on the Christian mythologies very well. I recognize that name, but
Well, it's for lack of a better word, it's the individual. Cain was the one who first killed his brother, first murderer, and his children are the undead that feed on the blood of other mortals.
She looks at Bondi. Dracula's.
I have not heard of them referred in that manner before. Thank you for the clarification.
Well, that is their history in mythology.
I will have to go and speak to the folks I know then and see what other information I should know.
I think the relevant point is that, well, this gentleman here has a standing agreement with the mages of the Cabal to cooperate with one another. We also must cooperate with those of other sorts. Sometimes we must cooperate and even attempt, even if temporarily, to get along with those who we find distasteful or have reason to object to. And he gestures and he says, and sometimes we have to be careful not to let the past cloud our opinion of the present either. He gestures down at the glyphs again. He says, see, it's real easy to look at things that happened ages ago or at a belief that you were taught and retaught time after time, and feel that as a universal truth always. Since other times it's important for us to remember that there are no universal truths.
I think you're wasting your breath on us. We're not even important enough to get across what you want done.
Well, I
That
mean,
sounds like you lack faith in your ability. It is often those that go unnoticed that can get stuff done.
I'm not looking to have someone sign a piece of paper or commit to an agreement. I'm looking to have people think before they act, to see things on a case by case, and maybe, just maybe, work with somebody they normally wouldn't because it's the right thing to do at the time.
We've done this before, and we'll do it again if we need to.
He gestures up and he says, "So if that gentleman there, who you already know to be a blood-drinking child of Cain, said he needed your help with something for the good of the city, you're not going to tear him to pieces simply for what he is."
No, but I'd ask him a hell of a lot of questions.
He has a fair point there. What one person thinks is for the good of the city, a lot of people could think is, well,
someone
going
else
to cause
would
it to
disagree with.
Yeah.
Like cutting down a perfectly good tree.
Yes.
Anyone who thinks cutting down a tree that's part of a community is a good idea has an ulterior motive.
She kind of mumbles under her breath.
That's why I'm glad we got this tree cutting stopped. Our little celebration brought a lot of people and a lot of awareness to the problem.
And it did.
But they'll probably have another plan. Whoever wanted it cut down, I don't think would let a little celebration stop them for long.
That's why we keep working. We don't stop working on projects. That's why they're projects, not what's that other word that you use? I am not sure of the word in English. It is yeah. And she just says something in Haitian. I can't think of the word in English, so and I'm pretty sure most of you don't speak Haitian, so
Right.
He
Is this better?
gestures and says, "I agree the celebration was a good and beneficial thing. I'm glad you brought it up because, while it certainly helped, one of the key factors was a gentleman who is a member of that man's faction who was able to put together sufficient paperwork to help stall that. He also pulled all the permits to make sure that no one could interfere in that celebration. And that is exactly the what I'm getting at here is that the opportunities to work together to bring different skills, views, etc., we're in a position unlike most others. He chuckles and he says, and I'm the definition of unlike most others.
Could you explain to me how our situation is unique, if you would be so kind?
Well, we're in a city where all of our factions were decimated by a natural occurrence. And those who moved in to repair the damage don't have any of our best interests in mind. Industry, machinery, corporate mentality. I've had to get 4 more buildings put onto historic registries to keep them from being torn down to make way for office buildings.
Modern world. Oh, sorry.
This building we are in now, I had to get protected on a couple different fronts because it is not a historic building. It hasn't been here long enough. So I had to get it listed other ways. It's not a restaurant. It's not a tavern for a reason. It has been marked as a civic building with a religious orientation. And downstairs, the borders between this world and the next are nearly unnoticeable.
Big Mac kind of glances over at Jackson briefly.
Bonte visibly perks up.
Jackson's got his poker face on.
Because it's not an accident that I maintain this location. Everyone knows this city is known for its spirits and its spirituality. There are places where those spirits can reach far more easily. This is one of them. This is relevant for a number of reasons. But I can tell you that even for the good doctor there who performs fantastic miracles of science and works wonders, the science and industry that comes here is not in his best interest. It won't bring green spaces back. It won't encourage people to believe, to see, or to do what's best for the earth and the community.
Whenever he says that, Miles just kind of has like, he's got a very thoughtful look on his face, and he's kind of nodding slowly and saying, he'll say, yeah, if you're referring to who I believe you're referring to, they tend to have a very overly sterile view of science. There's no enjoyment or wonder in it. It's just by the numbers, humdrum, very boring. No room for new inventions. I'll just kind of sigh.
And Speaking of a number of different factions, they don't even need to cooperate. The fact that their goals and methods happen to be so similar means that even without organization, they are cooperating.
But you can play them against one another. It's been done before. They just don't have to
Certainly,
know that the other
there's-
guy exists.
There's merit to that as well. And I'm not disputing that, but here again, it's important that they are not doing the same thing to us.
We must stay united for the city and the people.
And we have to recognize that we don't all have to get along. We don't all have to sit down and have chats all the time to work together. We're not going to necessarily have a big war meeting. I don't expect to be invited to a ceremony of someone else any more than they would expect to necessarily be invited to mine. But we have to remember to consider those other groups, those other factions, because they are still allies to us. If for no other reason than we have a common enemy. He gestures to Big Mac and to Jackson. He says, there are stories of groups that should have been allies, but because of differing opinions, became enemies. There are tragic tales, and in the end, the only one who won was the enemy. He chuckles and says, my own forefathers were once considered enemies of many other groups we gather here. In fact, they were enemies of each other at one point. Those who are skin changers have names for those who work with belief in reality. They call them name breakers and cairn stealers because that's what they were. They were thieves, they were criminals. They were those who violated the natural order. Does that make them wrong? Does it make them a threat? Perhaps. Or does it make someone that communication is needed for? That an agreement or accord can be reached. Understandings can be reached. This very building sits on a place that some know as a wellspring, some would know as a cairn. Others might even know it by other names. The dead have their own name for such places. Places where the worlds overlap. Parties would have fought over this once upon a time.
Jackson simply sets his drink down and says, could you please cut to the chase? Long words hide hidden intent.
He looks at you and he says, Alright, maybe I need to spell it out a little more clearly. He looks right at you and he says, my blood and my descendants were those that were killed in your great war, who should have been allies. I'm capable of, simply through belief, changing this world. And he gestures to the guy at the bar and he says, to top it off, I follow a spirit that is more in kin with the vampires than he does with any other spiritual being.
Mac kind of raises an eyebrow as she continues to listen.
I keep a house where the dead and the undead sit side by side and play cards, where those with wings and claws are welcome. By rights, everything I am flies in the face of every belief and every position taken by the factions present in this room at one point or another. Maybe not you as individuals, but the people that you look to as leadership. He looks around and he says, I've sat with mages of every creed and discussed things. I've sat with skin changers who believe things no one else would even dream of possible. Speaking of corruption and great spirits twisting things. He says, and I've sat with the man who leads those who drink the blood of others, and found him to be reasonable, rational, I didn't expect you to sit and have a drink with him. The fact that you're sitting with each other and having a drink, I'm calling a good sign. But this city, the spirit of this city is dying because we have such a mentality that we focus on our differences. I can't make any of you do anything. You can leave here angry, fight one another, kill the first vampire you find. All I can do is ask that you consider what the gain is and what impact it has. Look at the impact of a simple party in a tree, at a tree, in a park. Look at all the impacts. He looks over at the doctor and Bonte and he says, one of ours is missing as an impact of that party. He looks at Big Mac and Jackson and says, one of yours hasn't been seen since he left following the one of ours who is missing.
Which ones are those?
My friend Dressa, who agreed with me that night, Bonte. Or not Bonte.
But
The fellow that was one of yours. He seemed new to you.
that idiot. She doesn't hold back.
Call him what you will. He's missing. And he's been missing since he followed Dresser away from that meeting.
Big Mac looks at Bonte. Probably try to find him.
Dresser was more than simply a fellow, too. On a night when spirits walk this realm, Dresser himself participated in a rather open activity right out here in front of this place.
Okay.
In fact, he performed acts that opened him up to one of the great spirits of the city. A spirit that was trapped. Meaning, he was the only vessel.
Oh, shit.
I don't know if that spirit was fully with him, simply caught a ride partially, simply had its attention on him. What I do know is I don't know where that spirit resides.
All
The
right.
only contact I had with it was through Dresser, when he was able to catch enough of that spirit's attention.
Right, so you might have a spirit hitching a ride on him. Is that what I'm catching?
He may have, or that spirit may
Alright.
be lost because it hitched a ride on him and he was killed.
So what kind of spirit is it that we may potentially be dealing with here?
Well, in simple terms, it's a fairly potent totem spirit. One of the Loa of the city, whose leader I follow.
She kind of glances at Jackson.
He's definitely got his eyebrows furrowed, kind of annoyed look on his face.
These are the kinds of things I speak of that at each other's throats and not communicating. We potentially have a totem spirit that can't find its way back to its cairn.
So we need to find Dresser and whatever the other guy's name was. I don't think he even gave it to me, to be honest. I think she kind of glances at Jackson that we might want to talk to some of our people. Seems pretty pertinent, don't you think?
He nods. What was the name of this Loa?
He looks at you and then at
Bonte says the Loa's name with a very affectionate smile on her face.
I'm getting to my notes so I can actually tell you. Apparently, I did not have it handy.
I don't remember the name offhand, which one it was specifically, but Bonte knew who it was.
Nebo.
All right, I need to make
Nebo.
I need to make an intelligence roll to remember if this is one of the ones that was involved with the Karen incident with Chucklefuck. Because I cannot remember out of character. 2 successes. Remember.
You're talking about the one on the night of the eclipse?
The one that the old Alpha went to, like that in that whole stuff. He was involved with one of
yes.
those. Okay. So he just frowns.
That's right, because you actually went to look into learning about the lore and stuff.
We have a vested interest in finding this spirit as well. We will help you.
Well, I mean, not only is there interest there, but she glances at Bonte, one of our partners, and she puts her fingers up in the quotations around the word crime. One of our partners in crime is MIA. And then the other guru, I guess, is technically our issue 2.
Locking that word away for later.
He gestures and says, well, and if it comes to tracking people through the city, my friend at the bar there has a lot of people who are pretty good at dealing with politics and bureaucracy.
Where were they last seen? Leaving this celebration?
Yes.
And he'll nod and he'll say, we have things that we'll use on our end. Something specifically made for a situation like this.
Well, we all have methods. That's never been a question. However, some of those methods can be somewhat noticed, and it would be a shame if I were to scry on the individual in question only to discover he had returned to wherever it is you folks call home, and I'm inadvertently scrying on that territory, and it's noticed and taken the wrong way. So you
Our
see why I
methods
hedge
are
my-
not so brazen.
Something tells me he's not at home, as you call it. That's where I directed him to go, but he's new here, so he might not even know where home is.
Well, be that as it may, that was a political risk I was not willing to take.
That's fair.
No different than if someone were to come around peering in the windows of my residence here.
If I can help in any way to find Dresser, please let me know.
Big Mac looks at Bonte. I think we should just make that top priority. Maybe we start where it began.
Perhaps, but not tonight. There are preparations that must be made.
It's true.
He says, "Oh, I think this is certainly a step in the right direction in and of itself." Because again, rather than pointing fingers, which is certainly something that would have been done once upon a time, we discuss, share what information we have. And then he gestures and he says, "I suppose that's plenty of serious rambling for the night." He says, "I did wouldn't of course be Fat Tuesday without some cake. Does everyone like cake?"
I do.
Tonight, everybody should like cake.
And then he turns and he looks to the man at the bar and he says, "Not you. Remember what happened last time you had cake? I don't want to clean that mess up again." Man's got a terrible tolerance for sweets. Just can't keep them down.
Perhaps it's not
That's
in the right mix.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Which is quite possibly. He
Sorry.
comes back with a large king cake. And he says, "Well, everyone feel free to dig in."
Big Mac looks
Bounty will
giddy.
take some.
So Big Mac.
Doctor will be able to, or we'll start scarfing down some cake.
She looks over at Jackson. You know you want some.
He'll shrug and just take a piece. He seems to be thinking at the moment.
Bonte's eaten enough for probably 2 people.
Oh, yeah. Big Jack has to easily. She kind of leans over to Jackson and whispers in his ear, "Don't choke on it."
He just shakes his head and chuckles as he keeps eating.
All right. And Big Mac will find something in her cake.
Talk about not choking on something. She kind of like, whatever it is, I'm assuming it's in her mouth. She just kind of pulls it out.
It is a small plastic Simba from the Lion King figure.
Aw. And she puts it in Jackson's face. She says, "See? You didn't have it. You had no risk of choking."
He looks at it, kind of frowns, and then shakes his head and keeps eating.
Looks like
So he
we
does
know
seem
who
very
the king
focused.
is then.
And Papa Midnight chuckles and he says,
Does
"Well,
that
you
make
know,
some sort of symbolic meaning?
Shere Khan always thought he was the king, but everyone knows the lion's the king of the jungle."
Have you not had Fat Tuesday before Mardi Gras celebrations?
Big Mac shakes her head. Only heard stories. Never actually been to one. Like I said, haven't been here for long.
We have a crown for our king.
I like crowns. As long as it's not from Burger King, because screw that place.
He chuckles a little bit and he says, he brings one out and it's done like the big, like a big fruit hat type crown with bananas and grapes and stuff. And he says, "As long as you don't start singing the bare necessities to me."
Aww.
He thinks they're got funny jokes.
All right. Can I eat it?
The crown or the plastic figure? Because I suppose theoretically the answer is yes to both, but
I don't think plastic is going to taste very good. I'm talking about the crown. I mean, why let fruit go to waste, right? Like, it's going to go bad eventually. I might as well enjoy it.
After your night is over.
That's fair. Unless someone has an objection.
Papa Midnight shrugs and says, "It's your business, so you do with it what you wish."
Bunty's gonna give a deep curtsy to Big Mac.
She'll smile at Bonte. Anyone else?
Your wish is our command, our king or queen as you wish.
She kind of flicks some frosting at Jackson.
He ignores it. He's definitely deep in thought.
She keeps flicking it, aiming for his face and his perfect hair. Y'all right over
Papa
there?
Midnight. Papa Midnight says you guys are welcome to stay as long as you wish, and my good friend there at the bar will be happy to serve you, but I do have some other matters to attend myself as well.
You are most kind, Papa.
Thanks for having us.
The
Yeah.
was kind of reading less.
Yes, so here's his glass as well.
And she turns. Everybody give me perception alertness.
Or can we use Primal Urge? Well, I don't have either, actually, so.
Perception, primal urge, or perception awareness? Is that what it is?
I said alertness, but I would allow.
No, because you
Does
did say awareness.
She's still trying to figure out what he is.
does attentive count?
Yes.
Then I have 6 successes.
So, are we using alertness or awareness? Because I need to know.
Alert.
Either one, whichever is higher.
Okay.
Uncanny instincts.
Yes, I'll allow it on this one.
I have no
I
successes.
got
Ooh. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Tens.
So Bounty and Big Mac see everything.
All the things.
I got 2 successes.
Right. Did we get one from Jackson?
Yeah, I failed.
He got 0.
Right. So everyone except Jackson would notice as he, as Papa Midnight turns to leave, he winks at everybody, and as he does, one of his the eye that hadn't closed kind of turns to like a cat eye.
She looks at the plastic lion in her hand and then back at him.
And then he, the two of you who had an absurd number of successes would also notice that he had fairly feline type fangs as well.
Was his claw that he made earlier like a feline claw?
Thinking back on it, yes, it would have been. You know, as you kind of look back on it, you realize that it would have been a fairly. That's definitely what it most resembled.
Big Mac's eyes grow big.
And he heads out as well.
Bonte is going to go up to the man at the bar. The vampire person that she now knows is a vampire.
Okay.
Since you can't have the cake the same way, I made sure to have plenty of extra if you want some.
He chuckles a little bit and he says, "It's a admittedly fairly bold move."
It is, but we're all friends tonight, right?
We are. That being said, there's side effects to that particular activity.
There are side effects to most activities that people partake in. Some are positive and some are negative.
Well, you're not wrong there.
If you feel you cannot control yourself, then I will withdraw the offer, but
He chuckles and he says, "It's not myself I'm concerned with. It's I'm told a particularly addictive activity."
it
And
can't
well,
be any worse than my other addictions.
he chuckles and says, "Well, I guess that's something I can't really speak for, but says if it's at this point, if that's what you're offering, you've been forewarned. I'm only going to push so much before I simply agree. So be it." And he leans forward and he doesn't take much. He's obviously quite comfortable at limiting himself. And he does lean back and says, it was a bit refreshing, I will admit. It's been a while since I've been able to enjoy dessert."
Everybody should be able to have king's cake tonight. And she has a very euphoric look on her face after that. Because the kiss and all that. I see why that could be addictive, though. And she kind of just shudders a little.
He looks at the rest of you and says, "No, I can't speak for what Papa has in mind, but what I do know is that one of his coolers happens to contain some, or I should say, one of his storerooms happens to contain some fantastic bourbon.
Ooh.
Anyone who wants to partake, I've been told I make a mean mint julep."
That sounds wonderful.
I'll give it a try.
So he will set everybody up with mint juleps. And he'll say, "I hope I wasn't too intrusive. I recognize my lack of announcement could give the wrong impression, but I also felt And talking with the good Papa Midnight, he agreed that advertising too widely I would be here could send the wrong impressions.
Gotcha.
You seem like a good man to me. You stand from a position of power, yet are humble enough to serve others.
He says, well, I can't pretend that that's entirely altruism either. In my experience, the barkeep tends to be the one no one questions when they talk to him. Nobody thinks about what they're telling a barkeep. Barkeep is simply somebody you talk to. And in my experience, that's a good position to be in. Be the guy everybody's willing to talk to.
Huh. I suppose you're kind of like the psychologists there, you know. You feed people booze, they talk to you and tell you the problems.
They tell you the problems, they tell you any rumors.
I learn all kinds of stuff, I bet.
Bunty's gonna turn towards Big Mac. When you are ready to go looking for Dresser, please let me know.
The sooner we can do it, the better. It's already been too long. Who knows what's happened between now and then.
I doubt it was anything good.
Agreed. Is that guy? Not Dresser, the other guy. I can't remember his name, unfortunately. Oh, wait, she might remember his name. But he's a little nuts. Had a few screws loose in the head. Seem like.
As much as I want to find Dresser, we need to make sure that the lower is found.
Yes. Yes, we do.
We cannot go missing them. Bad things start to happen.
Right.
He's gonna
Yeah,
start drinking her mint julep.
She's drinking hers too. She's slow, like she's sipping it slowly, but it's yeah, she's drinking it slowly, but she doesn't put it down.
and the man at the bar there says, well, if there's anything else I can do to assist, I'm more than happy to do so.
We'll let you know. Not sure what the plan is quite yet, but
Well, I do look forward to hearing from you. I hope I can be of assistance.
Where can we find you to be in contact if need be?
Yeah. Says, oh yeah, here's a card for my tavern itself. I own a wine bar as well as um, cigar lounge.
Bunty will take a card or a card.
He gestures and says, I think it probably wouldn't be the worst idea to make sure you enjoy a couple more of those drinks. It's between the efforts made tonight by a variety of people, as a matter of fact. But on top of that, that being Papa Midnight's personal supply, I imagine it's very good for the spirit, as it were.
Oh,
You might almost say it's to die for. And she's gonna chuckle to herself because to her that's a funny joke.
no.
He looks around and says, when you've lived as long as I have, there's not many things left that you're willing to die for.
How long is that?
Because a lot of it all ends up being no different than the last. You want to live in a place that's different. You want to live in a place that's worth being different. You got to make it different.
All right.
If there's nothing worth dying for, then what's there to live for?
Been a long time since I was alive, too, so I might not be the right person to ask.
But you have your own life that you have. Does it make you
Really
happy?
something about it.
It is a strange state I exist in, to be sure. I get satisfaction from some things. That's most days the best I can do. It's just the important thing is to try and create something someone else is willing to live for, or someone else is willing to die for. You can have all the things in the world, but more often than not, they don't mean anything by themselves.
So do making things for others to live or die for make you happy?
I think it is the closest to happiness I have found in a long time. to create something meaningful that someone else cares about enough to work for, to invest in as much as I have. That's an opportunity you don't get very often.
To make in life worth living, and she'll raise her glass. But she's starting to get a little tipsy.
He nods and says, "Well, if I can get you anything else specific, let me know. Otherwise, I suppose I can get this place cleaned up." Sometimes I think Papa Midnight invites me over just because he knows I can't stand a dirty bar. And he starts polishing.
Matt kind of glances over at Jackson and looks back at Bonte. I think he's like in his zone, like wanting to be carried out.
Let me go see if he's awake. And she's gonna walk over to Jackson and straddle his lap. And just kind of sit there sipping her drink in his lap. To see if Jackson's even awake. What's your name, sweet cheeks? She pokes his nose. I think he's fully asleep or something with his eyes awake.
Big Mac like walks over and sticks her finger in her mouth before shoving her finger, her wet finger in his ear.
Still nothing. Are you sure he's a living man?
Oh no, I'm pretty sure about that. Like, is he in a coma? That set on quick. Jackie boy.
And the man at the bar says, "Well, perhaps she simply likes to hold his drink and think. I'll make sure
That's been some deep thought for what I just did.
someone gets him home safe."
Is there any cake still left on the table?
There is.
She's going to stick her finger in some of the frosting and start drawing all over Jackson's face in frosting. Start styling his hair with frosting too. All right, now we get him home. Might need a hand getting him out of the bar.
I'll have a few people come give us a hand.
As you guys leave the bar, it seems like the celebrations are kind of winding down. The city itself is quieting down. It does seem to have a sense of satisfaction and contentment to the city.
Okay.
The city needs these. We need these.
As you guys will continue on taking Jackson with you, I
I'm going to take Jackson to my box.
okay. A young, scruffy-looking kid does run up to you. Up to Big Mac and
Fries.
it is not, but it's a kid about his age, and holds out a letter.
She takes the. She looks at him and takes the letter. What's your name, kid?
He says, "Well, they mostly just call me Slick."
Slick. All right. What you got for me? Is she's opening the letter.
Yeah. Says, "Oh, I was just told drop it off." So
She looks at who the letter is from before reading it.
it is from the Gutter King, and he is informing you that there is an abundance of food at his abode if you wish to partake this evening.
After all these drinks, oh, totally. She's gonna get Jackson settled in her box. And she's gonna thank Slick too. And she's gonna see if Fries is still hanging out in the box.
He is asleep.
She's going to whisper in his ear, "Hey kid, you hungry?"
He says, oddly, I'm not.
You feeling all right? She puts her hand on his head.
He says, well, I did have like a couple pounds of food earlier. It was weird. It was like everybody had extra food. Good stuff too. Nice and feel good about things.
Good about things, huh? Well, I mean, it is Fat Tuesday, so no, it's no shocker that there's a bunch of food out and about. But what do you mean by feel good about things? Like,
Oh, just yeah. Well, I'm full. We got at least a place we kind of stay in. We got people to stay with. I've been playing cards with a couple of kids.
good. You like it here, then?
Kind of feels like we might be doing our own thing, but it's not a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Right, right. All right. You get back. If you get back to sleep, don't be worried if you wake up. She motions towards Jackson. You met him once before. He's passing out in the
Yeah, he
box.
looks familiar. He was a little more chatty last time.
He didn't even he didn't answer to Wet Willie, like not even answering to like check out his hair. He's gonna love me for that morning.
Oh. All right. So anyway, if he wakes up, I'm gonna make sure he knows that was not me.
Oh, I'm sure he knows.
Perfect.
All right.
Well, then
I'm back in a couple hours.
you go do your thing. I'm gonna go back and nap some more.
Rest well.
Alrighty. Anybody else have anything else they want to do?
Nope.
Alright. Well then, this will wrap up the Fat Tuesday scene for the Shadows of New Orleans. Thank you, players, for playing, and watchers for watching.